In this video, let's take a look at a new feature in TPC Desktop 2023 where we have the ability to smooth just a section of a traverse. In fact, we can smooth any number of sections within even the same traverse. Let's talk about smoothing in general though first. For a number of years now, we've been able to come into something like this polyline, double click it, and I'm just going to compute the area here. So smoothing is turned off. We have an area of 0.131 acres. But watch, I can turn on curve fitting, adjust some parameters to determine how much fit is applied, and then Traverse BC applies that to the line work. So it creates the arcs and curves and everything. If I come back and go into this traverse or this polyline again and recompute the area, it's 0.137. So the area of a curved polyline can be different than the area of an uncurved polyline. So we've been able to do that for quite some time. Now let's talk about applying smoothing to a traverse. And I'm going to just turn off this surface here real quick, so we're not looking at that. And let's zoom in on the shoreline for Mercer Lake. So we've extended the boundary lines down to where it intersected the shore. That's this short line. We took shots along the shore, and then we extended this property line down to the shoreline. So I'm going to come into this particular traverse. It's called the shore traverse. And let's just open that up so we can see that traverse here. Okay, so I can redraw this traverse. I'm just going to tell Traverse BC that I want to use a solid line. I want to throw some point symbols in there just so we can kind of get an idea of what it's doing here. To an unmarked point. And let's apply that. Okay, so we can see that we come down to this point, we follow the points that we picked up along the shore to this point and then back up to the property line. Now, for a number of versions, we've had this new tab in here called Control Polyline. So I can draw that traverse as a contiguous polyline and I can apply curve fitting to it. And watch what happens. Traverse BC comes in and fits curves to that, just like it does for contour lines, and just like it did for that polyline. You can see that I still have that same point where I extended the line, but I'm coming down on a curved line now instead. And that's not really what I want. In fact, the same thing happens here. I come down, I want to extend this property line, and it extends it to this point. That hasn't changed. But because I've curved the traverse, it comes down on a curved line, and I don't want that. I actually want to be able to come in and modify that just a little bit. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to come into the first point that I want to be smooth. It's this point right here. And I'm going to tell Traverse BC under Traverse Tools, Traverse Smoothing, to begin smoothing at this point. So here's where I can begin and end smoothing any number of times within a traverse. So I'm going to say begin smoothing at this point. Traverse BC tells me that it's turning on the control polyline and smoothing, which we just saw. But now it's also turning on this drawing codes for this traverse. So I'm going to choose OK. Traverse BC has come down and kept the straight line here. And the straight line into this first point, actually a curved line, because we start the curving at this point. Now, take a look at the traverse. See what it did? It inserted a .bs drawing code in the description as a note. So I can go into any point, I can do this in the traverse, and say insert a drawing code, and here's that begin smoothing. So I can insert codes for beginning and ending smoothing right in the traverse itself if I want. And that's what we saw here with this note. Now let's come up to the point here on the north property line, and let's end smoothing here. So Traverse Tools, Traverse Smoothing, End Smoothing. I can end the smoothing right here so that this is now a straight line going back up, and it put the end smoothing in right before the iron pipe. So I've come down one point past the iron pipe to 216, and that's where I'm going to start my smoothing, and then I've got smoothing stopping before I get back to the iron pipe. So it looks exactly like what I want. And in fact, if I go back into this traverse, let's take a look at the control polyline first. Do you see how it's turned on this use drawing codes? This is new in 2023. It says I'm going to let the begin smoothing, end smoothing control what parts of the traverse are smoothing, even though I still have the polyline and the curve fit turned on. Now I'm going to come back to the control points. Let's remove that symbol. Let's come back to our phantom line that we started with. I think we'll be able to see this just fine. And now I can see that I still have the sharp corner here, the sharp corner here, but everything in between now is smoothed to represent that shoreline a little better. So new in Traverse PC 2023 is the ability to smooth just sections of a traverse as opposed to the whole entire traverse.